Well, yeah, I need a haircut. But yeah, here's another video in regards to Harley Davidson Indian and the way baggers and cruisers are going. Yeah, my name's Stuart Quinn, and I have a large interest in large baggers and cruisers. Really, I own an Indian. Obviously, I've had my own problems with them, but this video is not about that. This one's in regards to. There's a few people out there that are saying that Harley Davidson in major trouble. Because this, that and the other, because of the wokeness, and Indian are going to suddenly take on loads of orders, etc., to make up the slack for Harley. But I don't necessarily see that myself. I did a little bit of research, got some facts and figures sort of thing. If you take America, for example, 346 million roughly is the population. And to my surprise, there's only 8.8 million registered motorcycles in America. So that's only 2.5 of the population, in my bad maths, but I did ask Alexa, who will probably shout in a minute. But yeah, according to Cycle World, they say the percentage is more around 4%. So they're the figures I'm working on, which, you know, I assumed it was 30 to 40% would have been the amount of Americans that owned motorcycles. But there you go. That was a bit of a surprise for me. The top three states with the most motorcycle owners or registered motorcycles are California, New York, and Florida. So in America, the cruiser and touring bikes, they take up at least 50% of the market, but has slowed down over the last couple of years, mainly due to cost. Harley Davidson has about 20% of the market share. Honda, BMW, Harley Davidson and Indian are the main players in 1000cc plus tourers. Harley Davidson, Indian, Triumph, BMW and Honda are the main players in 1000cc plus cruisers. If you think I've missed anybody, obviously let me know in the comments. Best-selling bike in America, surprise surprise, is a Honda Super Cub, which is a 125 scooter. So I suppose in all the big cities they do well selling them for getting around, because the traffic's so congested these days. Yes, the bagger and cruiser market, which is seen more as leisure. So if you're buying one of these bigger bikes, it's more for leisure than business use. So yeah, due to the world economy, people reduce their expenditure on leisure would be one of the first areas. So I just hope these big companies specialise in this side of the market, ride the wave out. I'd imagine they've all got contingencies for these by reducing the manufacturing capabilities, etc. But hopefully that doesn't come to job losses. I know, and I've previously said, that Polaris have also got issues on the power sports market. So yeah, I think last year there was less snow than there was the year before, so snowmobiles didn't do so well. So Harley Davidson at the moment are showing 650 dealers across America. That was in 2023, but there is not a list of what there is in 2024. I know that there were a few closures. Taboo in Louisiana, San Francisco's historic dealership closed in June, Miracle City in Florida, Legacy in New York, Ryman's in Illinois, and West Bend in Wisconsin. But they only announced they were temporarily closed for the season from November. I'm sure there are more. I looked on the stats of Harley Davidson sold in America in 2023 at 98,468. They were planning around the 3% downturn in 2024, but now have predicted it will be more likely 12 to 15%. And that's bikes out of the factory and on dealership floors. The dealerships expect 30% plus in loss of sales. So it seems that what's happening now is proving that a lot of the dealers are having more bikes on the shop floor. So I think what Harley Davidson and Indian are experiencing are a combination of things. Partly the lack of money to spend on expensive leisure items would be the main one. The other would be the direction that Harley Davidson's gone in. Some of the designs have moved away from traditional look. Also, you've got the issue of Harley Davidson opening up a new plant in Thailand, and I think that's to actually manufacture a couple of the models in the entirety. So I think the Sporter is going to be manufactured from there. I know other bike manufacturers have got different depots or different plants around the world. I know Indian, they assemble a lot of the Scouts for the European market in Poland, but I think the baggers still at this moment come direct from America. So there is talk that will Harley Davidson and will Indian develop a lower cc motorcycle? I'll be surprised. That would be a massive outlay in manufacturing, in design, and move from what they basically specialise in, the leisure market, in also in historic and iconic motorcycles. Other brands are doing well in the market of $12,000 hard working dollars for this video and below. So they've got a market share in 350cc to 650 like Triumph and Royal Enfield. Also, there's a massive growing market for the adventure bikes. But some bikes are still selling, but they're selling for a reason. The lower cc bikes are more affordable and more likely to be used every day and for travel to and from work, etc. And then you're looking at scooters, so that's why the Honda Cub is the best selling bike at the moment. Adventure bikes are more robust, you can go further on them. Now they come with all the boxes around them, the side boxes, rear boxes, so they got more carrying capacity, whereas before you only really had the Tourer. So yeah, the adventure bike seems to be the only style of bike that's steadily increasing in sales, whereas the cruiser and touring market it's always been on the up, but it's still started leveling out. It's still slightly going up, but not at the rate it was. So the adventure bikes are really doing well. You've got the Royal Enfield Himalayan, Suzuki V-Storm, Honda, you've got the African Twin, and BMW, you've got the R1250 GS. So people say the closest competitor for Harley Davidson is Indian. But like I said, Harley Davidson, they produced 98,000 bikes in 23, and they're looking at doing probably 12 to 15% less. Indian Motorcycles, they did 43,219 in 2022. Sales were down in 2023, so it went down to about 30,000 units. 2024, after 8 months, it's around 24,000 units. Not much real growth expected for the last 4 months of 2024. So I think Indian have been steadily declining since 2021. They brought out the FTR, which really successful. They're doing well in the bagger racing, but they haven't got the dealer network that Harley Davidson have, and that's one of the issues. The bike, I personally, and reading a lot of vlogs, etc., that other people put out, the Indian at the moment has got the better technology. It has slightly better styling. You're getting more for your money when you buy an Indian from a base standard, and the Indian basically comes that you don't really have to do a lot to it. It already comes with a lot of bells and whistles. Really, you can do a few personal changes, floorboards, paint, custom paint, etc. So you can do some changes to make it personal to you, but you haven't got to really spend the big bucks like with Harley Davidson, that as soon as you buy one, you're upgrading the engine, you're putting new stage 1, stage 2, whatever on it, you've changed the suspension, you change the seat. But with Indian, you don't seem to have the same reaction when you buy an Indian. So yeah, as I said, Indian have got a lot less dealers, and also I think the main issue, which I've mentioned before, they do not encourage independent service dealers, whereas Harley Davidson will license independent service dealers to do the warranty work, to do your scheduled servicing, etc. So with Indian, especially in America, and well, especially over here now, we've had so many dealers close. I suppose if you're lucky, your average travel time to a dealership would be over 2 hours. So if you're then taking it in every 5,000 miles and you've bought a touring bike, that's like every 2 or 3 months you're having to take that bike over 2 hours. So you're taking a day out, because by the time the bike's been looked at, you've gone over there, you've had a look around, and you've ridden back again. That's a full day. You've got to take that bike every 3 months to get it looked at. So on the whole, that doesn't sound too bad, because if you're buying a bike of that ilk, you'll happily ride it. But if you've got an ongoing issue, which is very hard to determine sometimes, you can take a bike in 3 or 4 times for certain issues, then it becomes a bit of a problem. So here in the UK, we have around 52,000 registered Harley Davidsons, and Indian have only sold around 6,000 units in 10 years. So you can see the massive difference there between the amount of Harley Davidsons, the amount of Indians in the UK. Yet we've got around the same amount of dealers, around 18 to 20. It fluctuates a bit because we have new dealers starting and we have dealers closing at the moment. So yeah, it's always around the 18 to 20 figure. So if anything, there's only 2 more Harley Davidson dealers than Indian. The worry with Indian is there's a lot of multi-franchise, so the brand isn't as prominent as it could be at those dealerships. So as I said, the decline or reduction of the sale of big baggers, yes, it started levelling out, but in my opinion, that's basically down to not enough money around, and it's an expensive hobby. And I think this is the case for Indian and Harley Davidson. I think over the last couple of years, they've seemed to try to change the demographic a little bit. If you look at all social media, most people that put stuff up or talk about Harley Davidsons and Indian are basically at least 35 up, and the target audience or the target demographic used to be seen as 45 and up. They're very expensive, so you have to have a lot of disposable income, and obviously younger people have still got families, so they haven't got that money. So it's, as your families leave the nest, so to speak, then you've got more disposable income to be able to spend on hobbies of this nature. And the other main advantage Harley have got over Indian is the riders group. I mean, Hog's been around for a long time, and it's estimated they have over 1 million members. It's difficult to estimate how many members the IMRG's got. It almost seems to me that when Polaris dropped Victory and started Indian, they basically thought, right, to have a brand of this nature, we want to take on Harley. I mean, after all, that's what they were trying to do with Victory. They wanted to take on Harley Davidson, but they didn't have the structure, they didn't have the manufacturing capability, and certainly didn't have the infrastructure to be able to achieve something. And they tried to spend too much money on promoting an idea they hadn't developed fully. The Victory, the beautiful bikes, if it had been run better and marketed better, would have been a lot further forward than it ended up being and they would have had a larger market share. But obviously they decided to take the Indian name. They thought that would make the difference between them and Harley Davidson. I mean, you've got the Octane is basically the Scout, Cross Country is basically the Roadmaster. So yeah, when they developed Indian, they suddenly decided in 2014 to do this big launch. Well, I think they did the launch in end of August 2013, and then bikes were available from the bike season of 2014, and that's when they started the IMRG. Now, instead of starting the IMRG in America and developing it, they rolled it out worldwide, and it ended up that it was so disorganized in some countries, and it still is. They are run so differently in America to the EMEA. Yeah, they are far behind where Hog are. Yeah, it's an area I think Polaris need to sort out, and need to sort out quick. Get the IMRGs running more efficiently, and the idea of having to attach them to a dealership is ludicrous, to be honest. You've got less dealers, you've got less coverage, you've got average travel time to a dealer is 2 to 3 hours. Then you've got that dealer necessarily hasn't got the time, or is a multi-franchise, so they're not interested in running an IMRG. So then that reduces the possibility of riders being able to be part of an IMRG. And for a brand that's actually publicising, or part of their publicity is, let's own an Indian, let's then ride with other Indian riders, let's go to these amazing places, tour, put miles on. But then they don't get the opportunity to, because there's not an IMRG close enough to them. Again, you'll be doing the same thing. I've read before people have 3 hours to ride to their local IMRG to go on an hour or 2 hour ride, or spend the afternoon with them. It's crazy. Yeah, you should be associated with a dealer, but not necessarily there. It's the same thing as you can buy a new bike from anywhere in your country, and then ship it to you, go pick it up. It's a one-off event. Then for a riders group, you want that local, because that's something you want to be doing regularly. So then that's the same as your service dealers. You want a local service dealer. You don't want to have to drive 4 miles or 4 hours, to a dealer that you bought your bike from, because you haven't got a local one. See, that is something I think Polaris are missing a trick on. They have to sort out local service dealers, and they have to sort out the IMRGs. So I am looking at doing some more videos on this. I'm going to be doing some specific IMRG ones, because that's the interest I've got, the Indian motorcycles, the history of Indian, etc., which I found out a lot on. So yeah, at the minute I'm not sure if I probably will do another one on this basic subject, because you've got the Italian motorcycle show on, and then you've got the NEC happening soon. And from what I've seen of the Italian one, it doesn't look like Indian have bought anything else, because no one's mentioning them at all. And Harley have just upgraded some of the models, some of the engine sizes, I think. But I'll find out a bit more information, and we'll talk about that. A lot of the other brands, Royal Enfield, like I mentioned before, Triumph, they've brought out new brands, but in the lower CC range, which is the market share. So bikes are still selling, just not cruisers at the moment. But that's because nobody's got any money. Cheers.